You ever just, make a snap decision? That gut feeling hits and you just know something, yes or no, but you can't quite pin down why.
Oh, absolutely.
Or maybe you've been totally certain about something and then later realized your thinking was, well, maybe a bit off. Our minds are fascinatingly weird sometimes.
They really are. Constantly working in surprising ways.
So today we're going to do a deep dive into some really foundational stuff about how we judge things and make decisions. We're drawing heavily from the work of Daniel Kahneman, Nobel Prize winner, and especially his big book, Thinking Fast and Slow.
Yeah, and Kahneman's core idea, the really big takeaway, is this concept of two different ways our minds work. System 1 and System 2.
Right.
System 1 is that fast, intuitive, almost effortless thinking. System 2, that's the slower, deliberate, heavy lifting kind of thought. Honestly, getting a handle on these two, it's like a shortcut to understanding so much about how humans think, well beyond just psychology. Big implications.
Okay, so that's our mission for this deep dive then. Let's unpack these two systems, see how they shape our everyday choices, sometimes in ways we don't expect. And we really want to look at how they hit critical decisions, maybe especially things like, personal finance, investing, that kind of stuff.
Look that.
Expect some, hopefully some aha moments, maybe some surprising examples, and definitely practical takeaways you can actually use. Sound good?
Let's do it.
All right, so System 1 and System 2. Kahneman's big idea, fast thinking, slow thinking. Can you kind of break down what that really means for us day to day?
Yeah, sure. So think of System 1 as your brain's automatic pilot. It's fast, it's intuitive, doesn't take much effort, if any.
Like reading a simple sentence or jumping at a loud noise.
Exactly. That's System 1 just doing its thing, always kind of running in the background.
Mm.
Now, System 2, that's your conscious, effortful thinking.
The manual override.
Perfect way to put it. It's
Well-
what you use for, like, a tough math problem. We're really focusing on finding a specific person in a crowd. It allocates your attention, your mental energy.
Okay, so System 1 is the gut reaction. System 2 is the deep thought. Makes sense. But Kahneman talks a lot about System 2 being, well, kind of lazy, right?
Ah, yes. That's a key point. It is lazy, relatively speaking.
How does that cause problems?
Well, both systems are vital. They evolved for survival, quick reactions and careful planning. But System 2 really tries to conserve energy. So what happens? It often just defers to System 1's quick answers
Ah,
or just doesn't engage when it probably should. System 1 can kind of hijack the process if System 2 isn't paying attention.
and isn't there that famous experiment, the one with the gorilla, that really shows the System 2 focus or maybe blindness?
Oh yeah, the invisible gorilla. Classic. Such a powerful demo.
Yeah, can you remind us how it works? It blew my mind the first time.
So people watch this short video, right? And they're told, very specifically, count the number of passes made by the players in white shirts. Okay, simple enough task. Needs focus. Needs System 2 focus, exactly. But while they're busy counting, someone in a full gorilla costume walks right into the middle of the scene, stops, thumps their chest, and walks off.
And people miss it.
Over half. 50% of people concentrating on the counting cast completely fail to see the gorilla. It's right there, but their System 2 is so engaged elsewhere.
Wow. Yeah, I definitely missed it too. It's kind of humbling, isn't it? Shows how focused attention creates blind spots.
Huge blind spots. And think about that in real life. If System 2 is so easily tunnel visioned, what does that mean for, say, sticking to your long-term financial goals when there's lots of noise?
So how do we deal with that? Can we, weaponize the laziness?
That's exactly the smart way to think about it. Use System 2's laziness for you, not against you.
How?
Okay, think about saving money. If you set up an automatic monthly transfer to your savings or investment account,
Right, set it and forget it.
exactly. To stop that transfer, you actually have to make an effort. You have to consciously decide, log in, change the setting.
Yeah.
That requires System 2. But if you don't automate it, if you rely on manually transferring money each month, every single month, you have to activate System 2 to make that transfer happen.
And the lazy System 2 might just not bother sometimes.
Precisely. It's much easier for it to just let it slide. So automating it uses the path of least resistance for System 2. Make the default the action you want.
Okay, using laziness, I like that. Now, talking about things that influence us without us realizing, Kahneman talks about something called priming. What's that about?
Priming is, well, it's fascinating and a little bit unsettling, actually. It's how being exposed to an idea, even really subtly, can influence your thoughts and actions later on, completely unconsciously.
Like planting a suggestion?
Kind of, yeah. But you don't even know the seed's been planted.
Give me an example. I remember something about word fragments.
Right. So imagine you just watch maybe some video clips about investing, then maybe some about fitness.
Okay.
Then I show you word fragments like investor with the O missing, or FT with the I missing. You'd be much more likely to guess investor and fit, right? Even though inventor or fat would also work. The earlier clips primed those concepts in your mind.
Wow, okay. That's subtle.
Gets wilder. Kahneman mentions a study where they had students unscramble sentences. And for one group, many of the sentences contain words associated with being old, like Florida, wrinkle, bingo.
Okay.
Then they timed how long it took these students to walk down a hallway after the experiment. The students primed with the old words actually walked slower than the control group,
Seriously?
just for the words.
Just from the words, unconsciously influencing their physical behavior. It shows how deep this priming can go.
Man, that makes you, especially like in stressful situations, imagine the stock market's crashing.
Yeah.
All the headlines are screaming, sell now, panic. Pictures of graphs plunging, that's got to be a massive prime, right? Even if you think you're being rational. Absolutely. It creates this intense feeling of urgency. And here's a key weakness of System 1 the priming exploits. System 1, your intuitive system, it can't recognize where data comes from, nor the quality of the data.
What do you mean?
Okay, let's say your buddy at work mentions a hot stock tip. Good sign, maybe. Then later, you see some positive chatter about the same stock on an online forum.
Okay, second sign.
Then you dig a bit and find a glowing analyst report from a week ago. Third sign, right? System 1 sees 3 independent confirmations.
Yeah, sounds pretty convincing.
What if your coworker and that forum post were both just echoing that one original analyst report?
Uh-huh. So it's really only one source, just repeated.
Exactly. But System 1 doesn't track the source, it just counts the hits. 3 yes signals feel stronger than 1, even if they all trace back to the same place.
That's kind of scary. So the influence is invisible and it makes weak evidence seem strong. How do we fight that if it's unconscious?
You have to use System 2 proactively. The best defense is commitment to a process before you're in the heat of the moment, like deciding ahead of time. I will invest X amount every month, no matter what the market does. Or, I only sell a stock if criterion A or B happens, based on fundamentals, not based on news headlines or what my neighbor says.
So you build rules for yourself, a System 2 plan.
Exactly. You're essentially building a firewall to protect your decisions from those invisible System 1 primes.
Okay, that makes sense. Pre-commitment. Now, another way our thinking gets skewed, this idea of anchoring, getting stuck on a number.
Ah, yes, the anchoring effect.
Yeah.
Very powerful, very common.
Let's try those tricky questions Kahneman uses, just like a quick gut reaction. Okay, first one. Are there more or less than 16 Americans for every Swede?
16. Maybe a bit more.
Okay, the actual answer is about 32. Now, second one. Can you fit more or less than 44 Swedens into the area of the USA?
44 Swedens.
Yeah.
Feels like less than that.
Right. The actual is around 22. So for most people, that first number, 16, pulls their guess down, and the second number, 44, pulls their guess up.
That's anchoring in action. When you have to estimate something you don't know, that first number you encounter, even if it's totally random, acts like an anchor.
It just sticks in your head.
Yeah, System 1 kind of grabs onto it and adjusts from there, but usually not enough. It primes you towards that initial value.
You see this constantly in shopping, right? The classic was $300, now only $150 sign.
Oh, textbook example.
Yeah.
That $300 is the anchor. Suddenly, $150 feels like an amazing deal almost automatically.
Yeah.
You barely stop to think if $150 is actually a fair price for the item itself.
Right. You just compare it to the anchor.
And think about this with investing. Huge implications. You look at a stock chart, maybe a company whose price has fallen a lot from its peak a few years ago.
Okay.
You might instantly think, wow, it's so cheap. Look how high it used to be. It's like 3 times cheaper than in 2017.
Yeah, that thought definitely occurs.
That's the old high price acting as an anchor. It makes the current price feel cheap, regardless of whether the company's prospects have totally changed. Kahneman points out this is a big reason why individual investors tend to be overrepresented in buying previous losers. They're anchored to that history.
Oof. Okay, so crucial warning here. Never pick a stock just because it looks cheap compared to its past high.
Absolutely not. That anchor could be dragging you down.
Okay, so anchors grab us. What about how information is presented? The framing effect. Let's use Kahneman's disease example. It's pretty striking.
Right. So, scenario 1. Imagine you might have been exposed to a deadly disease. Tiny chance, 1 in 1,000, that you have it. Painless death in a week if you do.
Yeah.
How much would you pay for a vaccine that eliminates the risk? Think of a number.
Okay, got one.
Now, scenario 2,
Hmm.
completely different situation. They need volunteers for medical research. There's a 1 in 1,000 chance that participating will give you the exact same painless, deadly disease.
Hmm.
How much would you have to be paid to volunteer?
Ah, okay, thinking. Yeah, I demand a lot more than I was willing to pay in the first scenario. Way more.
Exactly. Most people do. Often like 50 times more.
Ah.
But rationally, the risk is identical, right? A 1 in 1,000 chance of death.
So why the huge difference? It's the same odds.
It's the framing. How the situation is presented triggers different emotional responses via System 1. Kahneman says it feels much worse to be on the losing side of an active choice, like volunteering for risk, compared to a passive one, like just not buying a vaccine.
Okay, explain that difference. Active versus passive.
If you don't buy the vaccine and you get sick, well, that's bad luck, right? Unfortunate. But if you choose to volunteer for the research and then get sick, you feel responsible. You made the choice that led to the bad outcome. The potential for regret is much higher with the active choice, so you demand more compensation for it.
That makes a lot of sense. The feeling of agency changes everything. So how does this framing trap us when we're looking at, say, company reports or investment pitches?
Oh, it's huge. Companies, while usually not lying outright, are masters of framing. They choose how to present the numbers, like shouting, revenues are up 12% this year, record-breaking. Sounds great, doesn't it? System 1 loves it.
Yeah, sounds positive.
But maybe you dig a little deeper, ask about profits. Oh, well, actually, costs went up quite a bit. Competition got tougher, so earnings are down 20%. See? The frame hid the bad news.
Okay, got it. Or another one.
Or maybe profits are up 50%. Even better, right?
Amazing.
But then you ask, how's the market doing overall? Well, our competitors are growing revenues at 20% a year. So we actually lost market share again this year. The big profit number framed it positively, but the context showed a potential problem.
Wow. So a single number presented a certain way can sound convincing, but it's the frame doing the work.
Exactly. The takeaway. Never take a number or a statement at face value, especially when someone's trying to persuade you. You absolutely have to insist on digging deeper for the full context. Question the frame.
Okay. Digging deeper, questioning the frame. Got it. Last bias for today. Cognitive ease, or sometimes Kahneman calls it substitution. Let's try this one from the book. Quick gut reaction, Matthews International. They sell coffins. Publicly traded company. Want to invest.
Okay. Coffins. Maybe not my first pick. Feels a bit grim.
Right. That immediate reaction, that's probably System 1 doing its substitution trick.
What do you mean substitution?
Well, the actual question is difficult, right? Should I invest in Matthews International? That requires analyzing finances, management, competition, valuation, lots of System 2 work.
Yeah, it's complex.
So what does your quick, intuitive System 1 do? It swaps that hard question for an easier one it can answer quickly. Something like, do I like coffins or funerals?
And the answer to that easy emotional question, not really, then becomes the answer to the hard investment question.
Exactly. Kahneman's point is stark. You cannot trust your gut when it comes to investment decisions because your gut is likely answering the wrong question.
Okay, that's a huge warning. It's like
Yeah.
asking if someone's a good leader, and your gut just answers whether you like their tie.
Perfect analogy. So challenge that gut reaction about Matthews International. What if, digging deeper, you found out they have amazing management, rock-solid financials, a huge competitive moat, great distribution, room to grow, and maybe the stock is trading at a really low PE ratio, like 5.
Well then, yeah, suddenly it looks like potentially a fantastic investment, doesn't it? Regardless of the product feeling unsexy.
Right. You'd be foolish to dismiss it just based on that initial intuitive yuck feeling from System 1 substitution. You need System 2 to actually evaluate the investment case.
You absolutely cannot make investment decisions based on that limited, emotionally substituted feeling. Need the real analysis. Hashtag outro. So wrapping this up, I mean, understanding these ideas from Kahneman's System 1 versus System 2, how priming works silently, how anchors grab us, how framing changes perception, and how our brains substitute hard questions for easy ones, it's just incredibly powerful stuff.
Yeah, it really is.
It gives you a way to sort of step back and notice when your automatic thinking, your System 1, might be leading you down the wrong path. It tells you when you really need to buckle down and engage that slower, more critical System 2.
And hopefully now you, listening, feel like you've got this new lens right. A way to look at your own decisions and also all the information flying at you every day. We really hope you'll start noticing these things.
Yeah, see if you can spot anchoring in ads or framing in news headlines or substitution in your own quick judgments.
It's kind of humbling, but also really empowering when you start seeing it.
Definitely.
So here's the final thought we want to leave you with today. Think about what other parts of your life, beyond just money or experiments, might be getting quietly shaped by these, well, very human ways of thinking. And maybe more importantly, how can you use this awareness, this understanding of your own mind, to make more deliberate choices? Choices that lead to even better outcomes for you.
Something to chew on.
Definitely something to mull over.
Hmm.
Until our next deep dive.